Hello and welcome to News Scope Daily TV, where we go beyond the headlines to uncover the deeper forces shaping our world. Tonight's special report takes us to Rawalpindi, a city that is not a battlefield, not a distant war zone, but the very heart of Pakistan's military establishment. It is home to the country's powerful general headquarters, yet it is also the place where gunshots rang out, where an explosion shattered the air, and where history repeated itself in blood. This is the story of Benazir Bhutto, twice elected Prime Minister of Pakistan, twice removed from office, repeatedly threatened, and ultimately assassinated while campaigning for a democratic return to power. Her death was not an isolated act of terror. It was the climax of a decades-long struggle between civilian authority and military dominance, a struggle embedded in the very DNA of the Pakistani state. Tonight, we examine the rupture that created Pakistan, the system that constrained its democracy, and the unanswered questions that still surround Bhutto's assassination. Stay with us. Pakistan, a state born in rupture. Pakistan was born in 1947 through the violent partition of British India. But partition did more than redraw borders. It fractured authority from the very beginning. Civilian politicians claimed legitimacy through elections. The military claimed legitimacy through stability and security. Intelligence agencies emerged as silent arbiters of power. From its earliest years, Pakistan struggled to define who truly governed. The country's first prime minister, Liaquat Ali Khan, was assassinated at a public meeting in 1951, also in Rawalpindi. The message was chilling. Civilian leadership in Pakistan could be cut down in public. Decades later, another elected prime minister, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, Benazir's father, was overthrown in a military coup by Muhammad Zia-ul Haq. He was tried and executed in 1979 after a controversial trial widely criticized internationally. General Zia himself would later die in a mysterious plane crash in 1988, but his system did not die with him. Under Zia, Pakistan's military and intelligence apparatus, particularly the Inter-Services Intelligence, or ISI, consolidated authority that extended beyond elected governments. Civilian leaders could hold office, but not ultimate power. This was the structure Benazir Bhutto confronted. The rise of Benazir Bhutto, educated at Harvard and Oxford, charismatic and politically seasoned, Benazir Bhutto returned to Pakistan after her father's execution as a symbol of resistance. In 1988, after Zia's death, Pakistan prepared for elections. Benazir mobilized massive crowds. Her party, the Pakistan People's Party, won the largest share of seats. She became the first woman to lead a Muslim-majority nation, a historic moment watched around the world. But her authority was constitutional. Her power was conditional. Within less than 2 years, she was dismissed by a pro-military president on charges of corruption and deteriorating law and order. It was a pattern that would repeat itself. Assassination attempts and escalating threats. Once out of office, threats intensified. In Sindh's Larkana district, a rocket launcher was fired at her motorcade. She survived. 6 police officers did not. The weapons were military grade. The message was unmistakable. In her memoir, she later referenced threats and intelligence intercepts. She named individuals connected to militant networks. One name that surfaced in public discourse was Ramzi Youssef, who had links to militant networks operating during the Afghan Jihad, networks that intersected with Pakistan's intelligence environment during the Cold War. Bhutto believed she was being targeted not only by extremists, but by forces protected within the state itself. Her second term as prime minister, beginning in 1993, ended the same way as the first, dismissed amid corruption allegations. Her husband, Asif Ali Zardari, was accused of kickbacks and became known in the media as Mr. 10%. Bhutto denied wrongdoing, calling the charges politically motivated, but the damage to her credibility was severe. She went into exile, the Musharraf era, and a brokered return. In 1999, General Pervez Musharraf seized power in another military coup. Then came September 11, 2001. After the attacks in the United States, Pakistan became a frontline ally in Washington's war in Afghanistan. Musharraf transformed from international pariah to strategic partner, but instability inside Pakistan was rising. Extremism was spreading. Osama bin Laden remained at large. Washington needed political legitimacy in Islamabad. A U.S. brokered understanding followed. Benazir Bhutto would return. Corruption cases would be withdrawn under a national amnesty. In return, she would participate in elections, lending civilian credibility to the political system. She called it reconciliation. Critics called it power balancing, the return and the blood. In October 2007, Bhutto returned to Karachi. Within hours of her arrival, streetlights along her convoy route went dark. Then came twin suicide blasts. More than 150 people were killed. Bhutto survived only because she was inside an armored vehicle she had personally arranged. Shaken, she reportedly sent messages to international contacts stating that if she were killed, responsibility should not be automatically assigned to militants alone. She publicly named former intelligence officials and political figures whom she believed posed threats. None were formally prosecuted. 2 months later, on December 27, 2007, she addressed a rally at Liaquat Bagh in Rawalpindi, the same ground where Liaquat Ali Khan had been assassinated decades earlier. As she exited, a gunman fired. Moments later, a suicide bomber detonated explosives. Benazir Bhutto was killed at age 54. The controversial investigation, the government quickly announced its conclusion. She had not been shot. She died, officials said, after hitting her head on her vehicle's escape hatch. Responsibility was attributed to the Pakistani Taliban and Al-Qaeda, but doubts erupted immediately. The crime scene was washed down with fire hoses less than 2 hours after the attack, before full forensic analysis. Her vehicle was cleaned, evidence disappeared. A United Nations investigation later concluded that the inquiry into her assassination had been seriously flawed and deliberately compromised. The UN did not determine who ordered the killing, but it made clear that the investigation was obstructed. Suspicion deepened, not only about who killed Benazir Bhutto, but about who controlled the narrative. A pattern in Pakistan's history, Benazir Bhutto did not die in office. She died campaigning. She did not fall in a war zone. She was killed in a public square outside the same ground where Pakistan's first prime minister was assassinated. It felt less like coincidence and more like a pattern. Her death reinforced a painful truth that has haunted Pakistan for decades. Civilian authority operates within limits defined by unelected power centers. Whenever elected leaders challenge that balance, instability follows. The struggle between ballot and barracks remains unresolved. Benazir Bhutto's assassination was not merely the loss of a political leader, it was a moment that exposed the structural tensions at the core of the Pakistani state. Nearly 2 decades later, questions remain unanswered. Who truly ordered her killing? Why was the investigation compromised? And can civilian democracy ever fully assert itself in a system where power has long been shared and contested with the military establishment? These are not just historical questions. They shape Pakistan's present and its future. Thank you for watching this special report on Newscope Daily TV. If you believe in informed journalism that goes beyond surface headlines, if you value deep analysis and historical context, if you want more stories that explain not just what happened, but why it happened, please subscribe to Newscope Daily TV. Like this video to support independent reporting. Share it so others can understand the forces shaping global politics. Your engagement helps us continue bringing you in-depth coverage from around the world. I'm your host, and this has been Newscope Daily TV. Stay informed, stay engaged, and we'll see you in the next report.